Friends, good afternoon, good morning, and wherever you are in the world today, I am blessed to be with two great speakers. But today, our interview is going to be one of a kind because it's going to have 3 R's. It's going to be raw, real, and revealing. And the way I'm going to do this is with 2 star speakers. I am referring to Ulrike and Eric, who are going to be 2 of our guest speakers in our conference in Hanya. Ulrike, introduce yourself to our global community.
Thank you, Peter, for this nice introduction and powerful introduction. My name is Ulrike Seminati, and I am focusing entirely in helping especially female leaders to thrive in their career, to step into their power, to step into their authenticity, and to step up and become a charismatic leader. So that's what I'm doing every day. Right.
But Ulrike, can you tell me a few things about yourself? A little bit more revealing, if you don't mind, about you.
Yeah. Well, I was myself working in the corporate world for a long time. I had a pretty successful career, but something maybe a bit more personal about myself is that even though I had fantastic results throughout my whole life, I was never feeling well about myself. I'm a bloody perfectionist, so that is a bit the thing that I carry on with me. And I'm never satisfied with what I'm doing. And this is something that is very close to my heart today because I see that it hindered me often to fulfill my full potential. And I see that all around people are suffering from this. And this is why my passion and my heart is today to work on this specific topic of having trust and confidence in yourself.
Excellent, excellent. All right, good. Eric, would you mind revealing something about Eric?
Yes, good morning, Peter. Thank you for having me here. Well, in short, for me, I'm working in a corporate world. I did not make the jump that Ulrike did. But what's really passionate about and why I joined Toastmaster is about self-development. I love to continue to grow. I have this kind of image of a scholar, which is always looking to go beyond, not from a physical point of view, but on a mental way, right? So that's really something that attracts me there. And I know you will ask that, so I maybe jump there. Personally, the thing that tells a bit more about myself is I'm a restless kind. So I keep doing so many things. And with the pandemics, I must say it's challenging because everything is one click away. So I'm currently trying to work on this, trying to focus, be present. Yeah, that's me.
All right. Sounds like an interesting dimension of your lifestyle that I think we'll explore more through your presentation. Ulrike, let me ask you this. Ulrike, what are you passionate about? Honestly, tell us, what are you passionate about?
I'm truly passionate about, and I found this mission only maybe 2 years ago. I'm truly passionate about bringing other people into their full power, because I believe that the world needs much more people who stand up for their opinion and for their ideas and who bring in everything they have. And we all have much more inside of ourselves than we believe. And I think this would make a huge difference in the world if absolutely everybody could stand up with the personal own authentic self that you have and just bringing these ideas and not hiding away by being afraid of rejection and not pleasing and all of this, because I think the world needs more innovation today maybe more than ever. So this is what I see as my contribution, the way why I'm on this planet. For me, this is helping people to have also a greater contribution and to shape together maybe a better world. So that sounds huge, but that's what my purpose is.
Great. Ulrike, I must say that is a very interesting passion, and it's a lifelong mission, if I may say so. But that's the beauty of it, I think, that lifelong mission that you put out there, and it's the journey, one step at a time. So Eric, I think you know what I'm going to ask you. Eric, what is the thing that makes you passionate about doing what it is you're doing? What are you passionate about, Eric?
Well, as I said, I'm a bit of restless kind, so I have a lot of passion, a lot of interest. But lately, let's put it this way, the latest trend, the one that's really give me a joy and energy, is when I coach people, and especially on coaching people around finding what they truly like to do. I've worked in corporate world, and you have a lot of people that do the job, but you feel they are in a golden cage. They're not really in it, and they do it because that's what they paid for. And you have so much energy and so much passion for the things, you wonder why they stay there and don't take all this opportunity and bring more of what they like to do to the world. Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Might be a lifelong mission as well.
I think it is. I think it is. And a lot of questions are running through my mind. But rather than asking the next question to Ulrike, I think I'm going to ask the question I was meant to ask to Ulrike, ask you, so that Ulrike has time to think about what she's going to give us her response. Eric, give me your favorite quote. We want to hear it throughout the global community. The quote that represents who Eric is all about.
So the one that I like, and I had it engraved on my iPad, without error, there can be no brilliancy.
Would you mind repeating that?
Yeah, my French accent goes in the way here. Without error, there can be no brilliancy. And that's from Lasker, a chess master.
Okay.
And what I really like about it is, you need to try and make mistakes to get better.
Yeah, I'm reminded of that famous quote by Oscar Wilde that says, to err is human, to forgive is divine.
Nice.
There you go. A little bit of poetry today to sprinkle our everyday moments. So, Ulrike, you already know the question. So let me repeat it for our global community who have just logged in. What is the quote that really represents who Ulrike is all about?
So I really love a quote of Brené Brown, one of these wonderful women who wrote a lot of wonderful books. But there is one that says, you either walk inside your story and own it, or you stand outside and hustle for worthiness. And I think this is a tremendously self-empowering quote, because it says, when you own your story, when you own your destiny, then you can live the life or achieve your goals that you want to achieve. And it's all up to you. And I love that essence of this quote.
Right. So Ulrike, I want you to reveal to me something that nobody else knows about Ulrike. Just tell me right here and now.
I will reveal the one thing that is probably what I try to hide away most of my life.
Here we go. Breaking news, everyone. Breaking news.
Interestingly, my topic in your conference will be about self-confidence. And that is exactly the lack of it that I try to hide away all of my professional life. I always was trying to be or appear as the businesswoman that I think I should appear like. Yeah, I was always trying to look performant and competent and all of this and strong and whatever. And actually that made me, for many people probably, especially in my corporate career, even look arrogant. Some said I'm not approachable, even cold. And it is something that I had to work on myself quite deep inside to show this vulnerability and to show that actually during the phases where I looked maybe most performant, I was probably had the biggest lack of self-confidence in my life. And this is something that is very divergent in two areas where you think, wow, this is on the opposite of what I see on the outside. And I reveal this because I think it's important that people have the courage to say this about themselves. We all have that lack. And I just want to encourage people to say this. And still today, yeah, even if I'm a coach and even if I'm working on this with my clients every single day, I know that on myself, it is a lifelong work that I will do in this area, because the lack of self-confidence is something that comes back all the time. So you have to do something about it. And I'm sitting here today in front of this camera, in front of a live stream. Maybe people think, wow, she's strong, she speaks like this, that's easy. But inside of me, I'm still, I have this ruminating machine telling me, oh, is it good enough? And, these questions. So that's what I reveal here now for everybody who's listening to this talk.
Ulrike, already you have shared your vulnerability to the world, and I think that makes you a stronger speaker and presenter, at least in my mind, and I think in the minds of many of our listeners. The sign of a powerful person is a person who admits their weaknesses, I think, and you've touched on a major piece of truth. So, Eric, here we go. What are you going to tell me and the world that you don't want Ulrike to know?
Do we have really things to hide? I don't know. I mean, we have such a transparent world today. Everything is on LinkedIn, on Facebook. So, okay, maybe I'll go there. I'll admit I don't have a Facebook account and I live pretty well with it. And I recommend everyone to drop it right now. Yeah.
I would say, Eric, that's an anti-marketing strategy you have there already.
Well, maybe not. Who knows?
Okay. All right. Great. So, Eric, while Ulrike is thinking out the question that you're going to be addressing, here's the question that you will be addressing. What are you going to speak about in our upcoming conference?
All right. That's easy. So I'm going to talk about servant leadership.
Servant leadership. Oh, my goodness. You've touched on a big, important area that I would say is a minefield, an explosive minefield. Just tell us in 15 seconds a little bit more on that. Just 15 seconds of food for thought.
Well, yes. I mean, we talked that a lot today about having a different style of leadership, less command and control, and how you can help people grow and really leverage them. So the question is, can you even tell what is servant leadership? Can you recognize it? And how can you develop it? That's what we're gonna explore together.
Yeah, I'm Eric. I'm reminded by that famous book by Stephen Covey, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I think if I'm not mistaken, it was strategy number 5. First, try to understand and then be understood. I would say that is the sign of a great leader also in servant leadership, trying to understand, empathize, and then try to be understood.
Yeah, definitely.
Great. All right, Ulrike, I think you know the question. Share with us some of the inside info about what you will be presenting about, please.
Yeah, so my topic is clear the stage for self-confidence. And we will approach this topic in my speech, which is actually not a speech, in a new way, because we will go into a playful way of exploring this topic. It will be a very interactive session where we'll co-create together ideas, solutions on how to feel more self-confident. And by doing this in a playful way, people will obviously get into another mood. And I am very sure, because I did this already with other groups, that they will feel more self-confidence right at the end of my slot, actually.
Great. So, Ulrike, as a follow-up to what you said, I think that's important. The idea of confidence, I think, plays an important role. And I think it plays a major role in how well you do your job and how well you are perceived by others. You may have a wealth of experience up here, but if it doesn't emanate in the right way, it falls short of everyone's expectations. So how do you become an expert in a field like this, if you don't mind me asking, Ulrike?
Yeah. So I think actually everybody is an expert in self-confidence, because everybody's struggling with it sooner or later in his or her life. That's one thing. But obviously that doesn't make me an expert to help other people to increase that. Well, there's one element to it, which is my own story, which I shared already quite a bit before. But based on this story and based on my own pain and what I've seen around myself in the corporate world, many, many leaders are suffering from that, really. I really went on a quest and to find out what can you do about it? You know, how can we help people to increase this self-confidence? How can we do this? Is there something? And I got then trained in a few very specific methods on how to work with the inner elements of the person. And so today I'm applying quite in-depth methods that are working with the subconscious, where we can switch some inner levers so that people can start going to the root cause of this lack of self-confidence and start understanding themselves in a different way. And that's what I'm doing quite widely today with quite a few customers. And so I see that it works, but I know also that any kind of work which you do in this sense is just a kickoff of something. And at the end, you have to experience it and see it in your own life, evolving over the years, actually.
Right. Ulrike, I'm just curious, would you say the idea of how you resolve your ego issues has to do with working on self-confidence and developing it? I'm just brainstorming based on what you just said. Mm-hmm. Would you say it has something to do also with ego?
Yes, it has to do a lot with ego because our ego is protecting us. Yeah, it is the only job it has, protecting us, or let's say very, very simply keeping us alive even. That's the role of the ego per se. And it does it in a lot of ways that we don't feel like being good ways. So making us feeling insecure, being overly risk averse, for example, are all ego things that help to protect us. Definitely. They help us to maintain us in our comfort zone, which is a safety zone, and so on. However, today's world really expects from us, and we need to step out of this comfort zone. And this is where our ego kicks in because it wants to hold us back most of the time. And this is where self-confidence is a very big part of it. It's one of these very strong elements that make a difference when you want to step out of your comfort zone. It's not the only one. There may be other things. I mean, fear's kicking. It's more complex than just that. But obviously, it's a big thing. If you can handle your confidence in yourself in a different way, in a more conscious way, you can enable yourself also to make these famous steps out of your comfort zone.
Great. I think that's food for thought, and it's very stimulating to reflect over these ideas, and very healthy, if I may say so. So, Eric, how did you become an expert in what you're doing today, my friend?
Well, I'm not sure I'm an expert, but that starts with a personal story as well, right? About 10 years ago, my boss told me that my problem with leadership was that I was a servant leader. And
problem,
last year,
did he use the word problem? The problem was that you're a servant leader.
My problem was that I was a servant leader.
That's amazing.
Right? So I did not really know what to do with that, honestly. That's the way I was. I did not know how to handle. And last year it clicked, because then my team and my boss at the time last year said, the great thing about me was that I was a servant leader. And that made me reflect, because I didn't change. It's probably my natural leadership style. And it seems that the expectation around me evolved during those 10 years. 10 years ago, we were still in a model where you had a lot of command and control, where leadership was more showing decisiveness, being able to state what you wanted, be able to direct people. Well, now maybe leadership is about, giving the space for people to create and be able to give the best of themselves. And so that's what prompted me to reflect on this and offer this as a workshop during this conference.
Eric, I'm reminded of that book by Simon Sinek, Leaders Eat Last.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's something I heard before. I mean, that's a book in my former company, that's a book we were always quoting, but somehow servant leadership was still seen as a sign of weakness.
Right. But here's a question. Perhaps there's no straightforward answer and we don't have time, but here's a question that I've grappled with. I mean, how do you overcome the cultural assumptions of a corporation or people when you want to implement change? How do you change the thought process, the mind of what culture these people have been conditioned by, to be able to implement productive and constructive changes?
Yeah. Well, that takes a lot of time. That's what I do for a living, right? And culture change smaller than systems, definitely. But in a nutshell, I mean, you like to quote some books, so I'll quote you one. There is this book from Kotter, who is one of the experts in the field, and we really goes, first you need to have the climate for change. So, and that's what you need to set first. I mean, is there a sense of urgency? Do people understand it needs to change? And do you have a guiding coalition to do that?
Right.
So at minimal, you'll need to recruit a few lieutenant or a few people that think like you, and that's one at a time before you can embrace a full corporation.
Right. Well, you know, Eric, you know what they say, leaders are readers. So if we want to embrace change, we have to start thinking about it. And one of the best ways to think about it is through reading. So, Eric, I'm going to ask the question to you first, and then I'm going to move to Ulrike. Eric, what is one divergent thought that you would like to share with us today in this interview for the global community?
All right. I'm not sure I should share it, but I'll take the advice of Ulrike. I'll jump here. The challenge is that I'm applying for Swiss citizenship currently, and my idea is that we should ban clocks. We should get rid of clocks because our world is completely ruled by time, and you miss what's important. You miss the importance of connections. You just try to do more and more things quicker.
Right.
So let's get rid of clocks. That's my idea.
Right. Well, that's a good suggestion. Looks like Switzerland's going to be out of business with all those clocks and watches if we do. But that's a good mission. So, Ulrike, can you share one divergent thought process that you have in your mind or in your belt as a tool?
For me, the thought is that self-confidence is a skill that you can learn. So it is not something that depends on getting support from the outside or getting nice feedback from other people or waiting on the appraisal of other people. It's a pure inside job. And this is good news because that means that you are the master of it and you can take it in your own hands if you're willing to do so.
Right. Well, that's very true. Very true indeed. So, Ulrike, what made you apply to this conference this year? I mean, what was it that got you going to apply and present at this conference this year?
There's this wish of making an impact, which I said before. It's really about reaching as many people as possible and doing what I can do to contribute to help them step into their power. So that is the one thing. And I love the idea of divergent thinking again. And even if maybe my topic doesn't seem revolutionary, like as not having clocks anymore, which is really a very divergent idea.
we wouldn't be able to coordinate this interview.
Yeah, that's true. But it's still about giving people this belief that they can step into their power themselves. Because what I see so often is that people think that they're a victim of circumstances, especially now. I mean, circumstances got really difficult and at least very different than from what it was before. And it's about having this whole mood of self-empowerment, which I want to bring out to this world. And this is why I applied for this conference.
Excellent, excellent. And we're happy to have you here, and we'll be looking forward to getting a taste of what it is that you're going to offer us. And I'm sure it's going to be powerful food for thought. Eric, what made you, sir, apply to this conference this year?
Well, probably two things, right? I'm thinking there is definitely curiosity on how that plays out. But initially, I think it was more a self-challenge. I've never been good at self-promoting myself, putting myself forward, and I decided to push myself and see what it takes, right? And here I am in front of you, talking to people, and not something I'm comfortable with. So I think
we're happy you're here. We're happy you're here, and we're happy you're breaking the ice with us.
Thank you.
So, Eric, let me ask the follow-up question. I'll let Ulrike listen into the question. So which other conferences, workshops are you going to attend, or which ones have kind of appealed to you in terms of the title and maybe the summary? Which ones have kind of opened up your mind? Oh, this may seem interesting.
Yes, I've seen something about Rotaries, and collaboration with Toastmasters. So that's something I'm keen to hear more about. And one of the teaser I've seen was about body language and how you use your body when you speak. So those are two that I'm already put on my list of to participate in.
Excellent, good choice, I think. Okay, Ulrike, which other workshops have kind of caught your eye and you're interested perhaps in going in and watching?
There was one around turning conflict into connection. I find this very interesting because we shy away so much from conflict, whereas it can be something really positive. I'm very curious to see what is said in this one. And like Eric, actually, I think it's called Bespeak, the body language, how to use authentic body language. And what rang a bell for me was the word authentic, because I know that there are many speaker trainings out there where you learn to have the right body language on stage and all of this. But the point is to be authentic. How can you be yourself on stage? And I would love to see that one. I think it'll be very interesting.
Excellent, excellent. So Ulrike, I want to kind of ask you, I'm sure you've heard of Aristotle.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've heard of Aristotle's the 3 pillars of public speaking, considered the father of public speaking, if I may say so, the man that put together Toastmasters before it was even a term in the world. And ethos, pathos, and logos. When I say these words to you, ethos, pathos, and logos, what comes to mind?
Pathos. I think it's obvious. I think it's obvious, especially with my topic and all my background, because this is the emotional piece. It's the imaginary piece. It's where our mind can fly away a little bit as well. But it's also, and especially about the emotional piece, because people don't remember what you say or what you do. They remember how they feel or how they felt when they were with you or when you were speaking. And all our actions are triggered by emotions. And that's why for me, pathos is the one leg that I really can resonate with.
Great, great. I think it makes a lot of sense. So Eric, you know who Aristotle is, and I'm sure you've heard of ethos, pathos, and logos. How do these words reverberate for you? I mean, how do they come across? Choose anyone or choose all 3.
Well, no, I mean, I must come to the same one, right? Pathos is the one that speaks to me. It's all about emotions. Who will remember a speech where there is no emotion, right? You need smile, you need tears, you need blood. Otherwise, it just goes in one ear, goes the other one out. And for decades, we've been in companies where people try to have this joker face, hide emotions, and we're finally coming to a time where you can show them. So I'm definitely looking for pathos.
So Eric, why don't you ask me which one I think is the most important for me?
Well, I can ask you that, of course.
Go ahead.
Which one is most important to you?
The most important one for me, Eric and Ulrike, is ethos. Ethos. Because in management, you need ethos. In the world of credibility, you need ethos. So we've covered them all. Ulrike and Eric, before we close out, would you like to leave us with these final thoughts, the thoughts that linger to our global community? Ulrike, please.
The thoughts that linger to our global community. I don't know. I think the thoughts that should be out there is really, how can we all make a bit the best of our life? You know, how can we go a way that fulfills us, and by this we can help others to grow as well. And I guess many people had time to reflect on this in the past months, because many people started to reflect on what's actually going on and does it make sense what they're doing every day. And I think it's a it's probably one of the positive side effects that we had in the past 14, 15 months, that we might see things differently. And I hope that we will learn in the future from this experience. And that did you say, Eric, you said that exactly. It is about the learning thing, that failure is not failure, but it's a learning opportunity. And I think difficult times give us the chance to stand up again and raise even higher than where we were before, and accomplish something that makes more sense for everybody.
Great. Final thoughts that remain with us. Eric, final thoughts.
Well, I'll take back on the perch on learning, right? With this pandemic, we were told, that's great, you can learn a new skill, but how many of us have done that? Well, now in this conference, in about 10 days, you have 3 days and you can learn a lot of skills. So join one of the workshops.
Great. Wonderful. Ulrike, Eric, with those thoughts, we close out, and we will be looking forward to seeing you on the global stage. Thank you for this opportunity. Over to you.